Dana, getting back into the conference play now, this is a school obviously that's familiar to you. Can you just kind of what you see maybe compared to last year, and how does maybe the quarterback situation there affect, how you guys prepare this week?
That's a good question. We're still figuring that out. Obviously, way more familiar with, Show, Tyler, the Oregon kid that's been there for going on 3 years now. We faced him 2 years ago. We faced our current quarterback last year, so we hadn't faced the Morton kid. Was a big recruit for him. Played last year a good bit, just didn't play against us. I haven't dug into that as much as I will here later today. I know that they ran Show a lot. I remember watching the Wyoming game, saying, "Man, they're running Show a lot." So I would assume because they're down a guy that they're going to be a little bit more careful with that. I know I would. Morton's more of a gunslinger. He's a West Texas guy, coach's kid, gunslinger. Based on last week, especially in the second half against West Virginia, they're going to try to run the ball more. They got one of the best backs in the Big 12, okay, and Taj Brooks, he's, and then the Valdez kid I know has been down, but is he going to be back? I'm not quite sure, but I know that's going to be an emphasis for them. They're big and they're experienced up front. They got receivers and stuff that can play. We know that, but how it really changes them, I don't know. I think they're going to continue to try to run the ball more and try to get the ball into those receivers' hands in the passing game, would be my guess.
Dana, can you tell us about Dalton Carnes?
Yeah. It's a good story. He came in with Jet Huff, who's quarterback from College Station. Jet's having probably as much fun or more than Dalton is right now. Jet's doing some signaling on the sidelines. He's Donovan's buddy. He talks to Donovan a lot throughout the course of the game, especially like in timeouts and stuff when he's relaying information either through me or through Iman or through Jet to Donovan. But they played high school ball together. Jet wanted to come here, so Dalton wanted to come here. We had to talk Dalton out of not transferring after spring. He redshirted last year. I thought he had a really good spring. He's a walk-on. But I told him, I was like, "You're gonna play," and so he stuck it out and hung in there, and it just always does the right stuff. He runs well. He's not very big, but he's always in the right spots. I was disappointed he missed that first pass that got to him, but was glad he got us the first down, the second one. So good story, hard worker. He's still really young, okay, but has earned playing time and will continue to be available for us to have playing time. He's got some pretty good young receivers behind him that he's going to have to hold off, I think, as we get going into this season. Guys like Dryan Wallace, who you saw get some snaps towards the end of last week. Jonah Wilson and McHale are both hurt, but they're going to come back and they're going to have an opportunity to be able to get some PT down the road as well.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I guess McHale was that was in camp. Right? No?
He had a PRP on some tendonitis in his lower leg or something. Nothing serious. Him and Jonah both had PRPs. CJ Nelson had a PRP on a quad. So those guys are week to week.
I don't know if it factors with UI and how you want to use the 4 games, but what you saw on film, just from his limited time, would you put things together, packages or situations? Or
I can't tell you that. Oh. Maybe. I mean, we okayed him last week to get in there and play, and I wanted to run that pass, and he put it exactly where he needed to put it. The corner covering Golden on the post, I don't know how he saw it. I mean, he's covering Golden on the post right there, and he put his eyes in the backfield, and he stuck his toe on the ground and went straight to the corner. If we would have saw that, then Golden was wide open in the end zone, but that's really not a part of his reads on that specific play. So he put it where he needed to. That was a heck of a throw. And then obviously the second pass to Stacy was dynamic. He saw pre-snap that they took the screen, and so his eyes went back and just he's a natural thrower of the football. And so he drilled that thing on Stacy's upfield shoulder. And it's the first touchdown we've scored other than Matt's touchdown outside of the score zone. So that was exciting for me to see because I'm talking about explosive plays and it's okay to score touchdowns outside of the score zone. We did do a better job of punching the ball in. Drive one was disappointing to me. False started on the one, and then we lobbed a pass to Sam. That was disappointing that we didn't score. Other than that, the other 4 trips that we had in the red zone, we scored touchdowns, which was improvement. The only one we didn't get was the one right before half, which I've already talked about that and don't need to revisit that. That's hopefully, I'm glad it didn't bite us in the tail, and hopefully if we're in that situation, we will execute it better.
And Dana, on the on Donovan this week, does he get a little bit more hype this week, or do you have to talk to him about,
I've already started talking to him. We've had guys on our team from Tech. I mean, I spent 8 years there and have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is my 7th or 8th time back there. You got to do a good job of blocking things out. They're going to have a great crowd. They're going to be ready to play. They're not going to give up on their team. They've been in they've got 3 losses and just 3 hard fought games. They're gonna be ready to go, and that place is gonna be wild. Glad it's not at night. I know what nighttime stuff looks like there, but I do my job when it comes to Donovan. I think Donovan's mindset will be okay. Some of the other kids that we've had that transferred from there, I don't think handled going back there very well. Not to mention names or revisit who or why or whatever, but it's an emotional thing when you are on a team and you leave and then you go back there to play. It is when you coach too. So you just got to do a good job of blocking things out, and I will do my job when it comes to Donovan with that this week.
On the depth chart, Hassan Hippolyte is back at safety. Is he going to split time at linebacker still, or is he going to?
Hip's he can do all that. So it just depends. It depends on who we're playing. The defense is the offense. What they do offensively is going to dictate where we have specific people like Hip, like Malik Fleming, defensively. Okay, so he's been at boundary safety his whole career. Moved him to linebacker for a reason, and so, the depth is always going to kind of dictate that, and what kind of defense we really actually get into is going to dictate that as well.
Coach, it seemed like maybe the blocking scheme was a little bit different this week. Was that more of a opponent this week type deal, or testing some things out?
In the run game, I'm assuming you're talking about, a little bit more outside zone oriented last week. We wanted to do a good job of getting things on the perimeter. They were so inside heavy and junking things up with twisting and all that stuff. We wanted to get the ball on the perimeter, and it helped us do that. We're in there grinding away on what the game plan is going to be like right now. We're going to keep it on the perimeter and stuff. I don't know. That's always going to be a little bit of part of our offense and stuff. Now, I will say Tech is big and thick inside now. They got 2 D tackles that are all Big 12 players that have been there for, it seems like, 6 years, that have started a boatload of games, and they're thick and they're big. So, are we going to be able to run it right at them in inside zone stuff? I don't know. So we'll keep getting our game plan together when it comes to that.
Coach, can you talk about Jamal Morris? He got his first start last week and played pretty well. Can you talk about his development and his journey sort of to this point now?
Yeah, I'm proud of Jamal. He's come a long ways this year. Okay, so last year I saw he was hot and cold last year. He played okay. And then would get lost in the mix and stuff like that. Didn't start this year as a starter, and just hung in there, and we got in his opportunity last week. Thought he played well. It's the best he had played, and then he carried that over and had a good solid game this week as well. By no means am I saying that Jamal's got this figured out yet. He's got to maintain consistency is probably the biggest thing. Stay focused and do his job.
Dana, what did you feed Ruben Unije?
What did I what?
Feed him?
Yeah, I saw that. It wasn't pretty. I don't know. You're gonna have to ask him. There's a lot of. It was hot now. I mean, those guys were gassed. Week 4, you're like, okay, Jesus, is it gonna cool down at some point? I'm glad it cooled down last night and rained today, but now it's humid as all get out there right now. We're on them. Eat, drink, and then eat and drink some more. So evidently Ruben did. I was proud of how he came out and Caden Bowie went in, get his first college snaps. He went the wrong way most of the time. That's what freshman O-linemen do. But then the next, and he finished the drive with the touchdown, so Caden was excited about that. And then Ruben went back in after that. So I was happy with Ruben having the the courage, the will to go back out there and play. Years past he would not have.
Dana, you guys are top 10, I believe, in takeaways. Not as much.
Can we actually score?
That's what I was going to
off
ask
of
you in
I'm
terms
sure
of.
that's where you're going with it.
Isaiah had one, and then he gets
Yeah,
called.
that's there is some undisciplined stuff that started coming up. When we had too many penalties. The good news is it's not flagrant stuff. DU's first one was probably they call it reffing the passer. It's more unnecessary. He didn't hands to the face him or pile drive him or anything like that. But you got to be careful on those quarterbacks. You can't do the extra shove on those quarterbacks. Other than that, it was just technique stuff. There's a lot of special teams technique, which is space. I think you could call holding you can call holding on every play. In the return game, you can definitely call it every play. We were probably a little bit too aggressive with technique, with blocking, which got us in trouble. Two of the first 2 pre-snap penalties make me sick. 3rd and 1 on the goal line offensively, and then 3rd and 7 on the first drive defensively. Defensively, we gave up a touchdown on that first drive, which put me in an awfully bad mood. But there's 3 penalties. His PI hip was in bad position. There's a 3rd and 7. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to freeze you on 3rd and 7. We had 3 people jump. I mean, you can't do that. And then DU's thing, after one play, they're at midfield. So other than that, we settled in and played good. There was some opportunities to do some very, very, very undisciplined, dumb stuff, and we didn't do it. But with that said, the penalties were too high. That's what happened on Zay's return. Okay, so Zay got a return. Zay can make plays, man. I mean, we've seen him do it, And Juwan Gaston, who's new and doesn't have a whole lot of experience, saw it and was waving towards him to come on. Well, what do you think he's going to do? You think he's going to run the opposite direction? How about you get your eyes around and go look somebody up and use proper technique and covering him up? So his eyes were back here. He was running forward. He turned and the quarterback was there, and he just he didn't hold him. He just bumped into him and the quarterback flopped. But it was horrible technique on Juwan's part. You got to use better technique. And then offense gets the ball and we 3 and out and punt. That's inopportune time to 3 and out. It's the only one that we had on the night, and it came after a daggum turnover in the 3rd quarter. And then the one before half, we got the DU forced the fumble. That's the best that DU's played. I know the first penalty we don't like, but it's the best he's played. He forced the fumble, and then that's when we only had the 30 seconds, 3 plays or whatever it was. We should have at least got 3 points. If Donovan's eyes were in the right thing, I think he could have ripped it in there. We may have caught it, maybe not, but at least got points. It's an emphasis. We're doing a good job of getting turnovers. We have to continue to focus offensively playing together as a team and taking those turnovers, which is momentum, and going and getting points. The flip side of that, we're doing a good job of protecting the football. Okay, so that's been a huge emphasis this year, and hopefully we can keep that up.
Dana Parker doesn't seem like a guy that you have to you keep him pretty level. Is now going into a bigger stage, with him getting more action. Do you tell him anything, or do you just let Parker continue to be Parker and hope that he does what he did?
I'm not worried about Parker Jenkins and his mindset. He is a humble kid. He's a 4.0 student. He goes home and studies. It's too good to be true. I mean, it's got to be too good to be true. I mean, this dude runs a 2.10.3. He plays with low pads. He has great leg drive after contact. He's got good ball skills. He's got to keep working hard on his pass protection. He got juked one time on that, so we got to keep working hard on that. But he's a 4.0 kid, and he goes home and he's a great teammate, and he goes to sleep and he wakes up and he comes back in and does it again.
And I think Tech is going to do the pregame stuff or the things this week. Is that how does in terms of you and Mike and
I had heard it this summer. I don't know what the plan is. I'll probably dig into that. I mean, what I've heard is that they're inducting him, and I think Cliff as well, into the Hall of Fame or whatever it is there. I heard those rumors. I haven't heard anything more than that. I mean, I'm there to do a job. I mean, that's awesome for them guys, and unfortunately, Mike's not here to see it. But at the end of the day, they're mending fences. I commend Joey and their administration for doing that for Mike's legacy.
After the game, you mentioned being able to get offensive line, backup offensive linemen more reps and stuff like that. Peyton Dunn has sort of gotten more reps as the season has gone along. What have you seen from him so far?
He's getting better. He got 2 holding calls in the third quarter that don't make me very happy. One was his eyes are in the wrong spot, and 2, the quarterback scrambles. You got to feel that, and you got to let go. That's technique. One's where his eyes was, and one's technique. So he's big. He's tough. He's gonna get better. Okay, and he needs to focus hard on getting better. Should be good to go. I know the 3 that were dressed that didn't play: Mathis, Chidozie, and Antonio Brooks. They'll all be good to go.
One more. Sam Brown, it looks like he's close getting in the end zone. I mean, he's had a couple. When you look at piling up yards, it's that sort of, you try to get a guy, a score so that he can, there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah, I challenged him. He's had a great start to the season. He did some good things. I thought he blocked his tail off, which makes me happy because he's becoming an unselfish player. I was on his tail last week about getting in the end zone, being the leading receiver in the Big 12 and not having a touchdown. What's wrong with you? And so when he got up the sidelines, he was pretty determined to get there. He got there, but he stepped out of bounds first, So, and he got another crossing route on, I think it was 2nd and 15 or something like that, and he got it down to the 4-yard line or 5-yard line, something like that. So it's going to come to him. I don't need him pressing like that, not worrying about like that. Could have had 3. He's going to have many more opportunities to be able to get that.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Appreciate y'all.